Secretary Bert, thank you for making time for Business and Politics. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Sir, your return to national news, is that cause for anxiety for the Philippines, or what are you seeing? What are you seeing on the security landscape that today in the Philippines?
Well, the reason why I suddenly started answering some inquiries because some personalities, for example, in sensitive institutions of the country, have started asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
For example, in the armed forces, they sense that their institution is beginning to be part of the concern that that could affect the overall security of the nation. And I happen to be around.
You're the expert.
Yeah, they.
Sir, there are two things happening. Firstly, the new law that gives the Chief of Staff and flag officers a fixed term. And also recently, John Masizon passed away, of course, calling to question the future of the CPP, NPA, and the F movement in the country. What's your latest assessments of how those two dynamics are playing out?
Well, I think the law is, examining the law and its implication, I think is important at this time. I remember that ideas were floating within the institution of the armed forces in the past that I think should be reviewed. For example, in the matter of really making sure that the best among our officers are the ones who climb to the ladder of promotion. For example, there are certain lessons like if you achieve the rank of colonel, for example, and then at a given point you are not rising beyond being colonel, then you will be asked to retire. So that is one way of really just allowing the promotion of people who can measure up to the demands of the institution. I really don't see that in the law that we have today. And second, I think the present Secretary of National Defense is saying that maybe the idea of really having fixed terms for the higher officers have to be reevaluated also.
Okay.
I will support this. I will support it because you see, even if you have that law, the President really can determine. What is important, I think, for the armed forces is to be given the kind of national leadership that would be sensitive to the demand of making sure that we continue to have a professional armed forces.
Okay. And the system before, where we seemingly had like a revolving door for the Chief of Staff, you know, there were some occasions when the person occupying that position was only there for a matter of months. Was that harmful to the system?
That removed the kind of flexibility that we need in handling an institution as sensitive as the armed forces, because it is within the power of the President to actually determine how long a particular office will be occupied by certain officers.
Particularly in the military.
Yeah, that's why. Why not continue with that? Okay. The fault is not, you cannot allow that certain defects, by certain personalities in our political system will be cured by certain laws.
Okay.
I think we have to look into the quality of national leadership that we will have, because that will impact on an institution like the armed forces.
Right. The last time we met at the Manila Times, you were saying that things were stable now. That was at least a week ago. Are you holding on to that assessment, or have you seen any developments since?
As I said, I think there is no desire in the part of the armed forces to destabilize the nation.
They become professional.
I think their priority is really stability of the nation, especially in times like this, wherein there are other concerns in the world and in the country itself, that if you have an institution contributing to the destabilization of society, I think they are aware of that. So
Right.
they will not contribute to that.
Well, of course, it's a good time that maybe a bad time that this is happening now because they're one of the main threats that the military has been looking at, of course, are the communist rebellion in the Philippines. With Joma Sison passing away, what have you heard has been the impact on the NPA organization on the ground here?
Well, we have not really heard on the matter of who will be the next leader of the CPP-NPA. Joma Sison really is more of a symbol to the communist movement than actually occupying top position in the CPP-NPA.
He was not on the operations.
I would think that the operational side of the CPP-NPA is intact.
Okay.
So they are now looking for a new symbol, like Joma Sison has been with them from the beginning.
Right.
So I think what they will be looking for is more looking for a symbol, and that is very important to the communist movement. But as far as operation is concerned, I think it will continue.
Do you think, with Mr. Sison gone, do you think there is a window of opportunity to maybe either pursue peace or maybe, through military means, pursue the eradication of the left entirely?
Well, this is the problem, because we really, what you have mentioned, for example, is very fundamental.
Okay.
If we really want to solve the communist threat, you have to go to the basic,
the root cause.
In the belief of the communist movement.
Okay, the ideology.
In the ideology itself, we have not really confronted this.
Okay.
We're looking at the manifestations of a fundamental teaching or theory of the communist movement.
Okay.
And this is the belief of the communists that you can only achieve political power through violent means.
Okay.
Through a violent revolution. The question or the threat of communism has been solved by other countries by looking and addressing this particular point in their ideology. Our communist movement in the Philippines continue to maintain that political power comes out of the barrel of the gun.
Okay.
That has to be addressed.
Okay.
Meaning, we can always tell the communists, and you see, we actually try to do this in our political practice, that it is possible to achieve political power or dominance in governance without resorting to violence. And that is our electoral system. And in fact, we have seen with some disappointment that the communists actually try to learn how our politicians are practicing their politicking so that they can achieve political power. They have engaged in cheating, in vote buying, just like the
traditional politicians.
Just like all other traditional politicians, and they're doing very well.
Okay.
Actually. So they have actually taken that particular. So what we are saying is this. I think that when we do negotiation, we'll have to undergo our negotiation on the level of ideology. That if they will just remove that particular belief that you need violence to be in government, then that it will be okay. Meaning that you renounce the use of arms. This has happened in other movements of communists in the world. For example, of course, it's very disappointing to hear of Nicaragua today.
Okay.
But in the beginning, they were able to agree. No more armed struggle. In fact, they surrendered all their weapons in exchange for political funding, and they won.
Okay.
They became the government in Nicaragua. Unfortunately, today, the leaders that has that revolutionary fervor to help their people are abusing their own people today.
Okay.
But it doesn't erase the possibility, the fact that giving up armed struggle does not mean that you will no longer be in government.
Right.
This that happened in Nicaragua, it happened in El Salvador, it happened in Spain.
Okay.
during the dictatorship of Franco.
Can it happen here, or how can it happen here?
Well, it is actually, they are in our Congress today.
Okay.
They are paying. There was a time during the early part of the Duterte administration that they were occupying
Cabinet positions.
cabinet positions.
Yeah.
What else do they ask for?
Yeah.
Are they asking? The opportunities are there. We have been very open to the possibility that communists can enter our government,
Right.
provided they give up armed struggle.
Okay. Well, you have a president who's been in office for about 7 months now, but more recently you have a returning chief of staff, you have a new defense secretary, you have a new national security advisor. And granted, they've been with the previous government, but they're relatively new in their current positions. I don't know if they've come to you for advice or for discussion, but if you had the opportunity to discuss this with them, what would be an effective plan moving forward to address, well, in particular, the left?
Well, actually, nothing new is needed because
Nothing new.
Certain specifics of the peace process have been tried before.
Well, let me put it another way. I think in the past they said that no more wholesale peace talks. Now they're going to talk to rebels at the local level. Should they continue that? Should they reopen peace talks again? But with whom, right? Or should they do something else entirely?
Well, I think do all of this.
Okay, at the same time.
Do all of this at the same time, and I think that especially our current president will probably have the opportunity to have effective, not necessarily open or necessarily very, broadcasting it. This president that we have today will have an opportunity to get quiet but effective third-party facilitator
Okay.
to convince the communist movement in the Philippines to give up armed struggle.
Okay.
That's possible.
Right. But ideologically, do you think they're ready? Because as you said, their thinking really is class warfare, right? But that ideology has collapsed with the disintegration of the Soviet Union, right? The global communist system. I mean, we would think that that ideology is outdated. But are they ready for the new world?
The communist ideology consists of two parts.
Okay.
How to get to power is one part.
Okay.
The other part is when you are in power,
Okay.
what kind of society do you want to achieve in the particular country that you're in? I think it's time for them to focus on the second part. And I think giving up armed struggle on the first part of the effort will not affect in any way their desire to give their version of governance. So, to me, their counterparts in the world
Right.
have actually tried giving up the first and concentrating on the second part of their ideology, and they have succeeded in being in government.
Okay.
Whether they have succeeded in fulfilling what they promised to the people with the ones governing is another matter.
Okay. Now, before we go on break, Secretary, I mean, how would you assess the level of threat? I mean, is it something that is very high on the security agenda, or is it something that we can ignore and just allow to wither away in time?
I think that there is no desire in the part of groups in the Philippines to do violence.
Okay.
In the first place, we have our economic situation in the country is such that it will be very difficult for our people to give up what they're doing to earn a living and be part of a more adventurous type of politicking. This is the condition today. It will be very difficult. If ever there will be movements, I would think that the masses will not be involved in the same manner that we have seen in our history. It will probably an effort of certain institutions or certain groups.
Right.
Whether they will succeed or not is another matter. But there is no general desire
Right.
to engage in extra constitutional effort to be in government.
So would it be correct to summarize what you're saying is we can sleep quietly at night for now? Is that what you're saying?
The problem is
Okay, there's a problem.
the problem is I think there is a need for government
Okay.
to take advantage of this
Okay, well,
opportunity.
we'll take it up. Take that up in a moment. We'll just have to take a quick break. This is Business and Politics. We're talking to Secretary Bert Gonzales.